Ellie Marks thinks it may be too late to save her husband, but she's determined to tell his story in Washington. Alan Marks has brain cancer, and Ellie says his doctors pin it on one device. About how much did Alan use his cell phone?
Alan used his cell phone a lot. It was glued to his ear. He's in the real estate industry. He used it, probably averaged about 22 hours a month.
Marks concedes this was in the 1990s when cell phones were bigger and emitted more radiation. But she's also concerned about current cell phones and so-called PDAs, personal digital assistants. And she's not alone. A new report from the Environmental Working Group warns of radiation risks and has a top 10 list. Motorola has 5 models on it. BlackBerry has 2. This is a BlackBerry Bold, one of the top 10 emitters of radiation on your list. What is wrong with phones like this, basically, according to your study?
Those phones emit high levels of radiation that has been associated with increases in brain cancer in the most recent studies that looked at people who use cell phones for more than 10 years.
The Environmental Working Group says it didn't test the phones itself, instead used existing data, and it admits the science is not definitive. To clarify, the study says these phones emit higher levels of radiation, but does not assert the phones themselves increase the risk of cancer. Contacted by CNN, Motorola issued a statement saying radiation levels in its products are within safe exposure limits. A representative for the BlackBerry manufacturer did not respond to our calls and emails. The Wireless Trade Association cites FDA and American Cancer Society studies showing no adverse health effects from wireless phones. A researcher from the National Institutes of Health who studied the risks says some data concerns him, but when pressed, taken as a whole with the studies that we're talking about and the ones that you've done, are these devices really emitting radiation levels that are concerning or unsafe?
Right now I cannot answer that question. We just don't have the data to answer that question yet.
But the Environmental Working Group also has an issue with the safety standards put out by the government. It says standards set by the Federal Communications Commission are based on 1992 recommendations and are very outdated. Contacted by CNN, the FCC said it has always relied on the advice of government health agencies for its safety standards, and it says so far no agency has recommended that those standards on wireless devices be changed. Todd, CNN, Washington.